Yes, start. Pages. With the people, my God, we have some big.
Oh, we still got 5 minutes. Can you get a?
You can talk some
Okay.
little bit about that.
Yeah.
And
Are we live?
About J6.
Sure.
Like that, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We're back here at 1600 Unscripted. I'm Adam Villarreal, the fugitive J6er, and we are live in front of the White House right now. Today, we have a very special guest for you. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Exotic is going to be calling in just a few minutes and talking with us about his pardon, the state of the nation, his beliefs in politics, and we're very, very excited to bring you that guest today on our show. Today in J6 News, things have been up in the air for J6. Ed Martin has made a new announcement. We've been hearing rumblings of reparations, and people continue to move out into the world with jobs, trying to gain employment. Some people are still moving for reparations, so it's a mixed bag out there in J6. But we stand here in front of the White House confident that if we continue to advocate publicly for good outcomes for J6 defendants, that together that we can work towards them. Do you have any questions from the audience about J6 that I can try to answer?
If you have any question, you can ask Adam. And I'm still worried about because people ask me why J6 they don't want to sue the government together, the Biden's government together.
Definitely, there's a lot of talk of defamation suits and damages suits in the J6 community, and there's several different polls that's going around. One is the federal watchdog suit behind Jake Lang. He's been trying to organize a very large suit and bring people on board. Another one is Mark McCloskey, who has been talking about his close ties to the Trump administration and has been visiting back and forth in D.C., trying to be an insider for the J6ers. Some people are choosing to try to make suit on their own by seeking their private counsel. And there's even talk of some people who are bringing pro se suits against the Department of Justice. But it's definitely been a hot buzz in the J6 community about trying to sue for damages of people that have lost their livelihoods, that have had their families disrupted. And if people that are trying to make themselves whole after 4 years of imprisonment, persecution, and frankly, as Trump said, terrible treatment by the Biden's administration and the federal government. Do we have any more questions from the audience?
In China, I think the law is different. If government found they did something wrong to the people, they will give some payback. You know, the government gave them. It's not for people to sue government. You cannot sue government. Any chance Trump group can minister can give the payback to the J6?
We know that there is efforts in place. Ed Martin has just talked about that around the administration. Talk about reparations has been ongoing. And it's something that the J6 community is strongly pushing for. We strongly feel as a community and as individuals that we have definitely been wronged and that our government pursued us. And there are many, many people in the J6 movement that literally didn't do anything. They just walked through the Capitol and their lives were destroyed because of it. So this definitely needs to be addressed, and it's something that we as a movement and individuals need to keep pushing for and talking about.
I mean, if any chance Trump can ask DOJ to order them to, you know, pay back, except the pardon, pay back money, any, you know, like benefits they lost. Any chance Trump can give some order to them to do that?
We keep hearing statements from the president that this is something that he would like to see happen and something that he feels like needs to happen. And so we continue to implore the president that there are families out there struggling and that reparations are something that the entire movement is pushing for. We want to say thank you, President Trump, and continue to advocate for those reparations to help some of those families that have been financially destroyed.
I know many of the J6, they are still struggling for their back to their normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Any solution for those kind of people?
One thing that we've been trying to do through my wife and I's organization, Homeland House, is we're providing guidebooks for your city and your state for any type of recompense or free services that you can get. If people are out there homeless or if they're struggling with food access, you can definitely link up with us on X and we'll do everything we can to try to get you those free services and get you connected with either a caseworker or someone in your area that can help take care of you.
Do you have any suggestion for like a church, some non-profit organization for this?
Absolutely. One thing that we really need as J6ers is to continue to talk about these issues. So don't be afraid to speak out in your local church, to talk to your community, talk to your pastor, and encourage them to help stand up and speak out for patriots. And not just J6 patriots, all over the country, people are starting to wake up to some of this communist tyranny and Marxist tyranny that is being pushed by Democrats, and only by being vocal in your local community on a grassroots level can you really start to see some traction. And so we encourage everybody out there, go to your local church, go to your local parent teaching councils, talk about these issues.
I know most of American church, they don't want to talk about the political issue. So I think if our J6s go to their church to talk this issue, probably they will get sick, how to say, the hurt.
Absolutely. I've been hearing reports coming in from small churches all over, and it's something that we have to push back against as patriots. If your pastor and your church community doesn't want to talk about these issues, you have to push for it. We are a congregation in church after all, and these are important issues that are central to the country, and if we're not going to speak up for them, how are people going to know about them? Do we have any more questions? We're just waiting for another minute for our special guest to come in. Do we have any more questions from the audience?
Patriots say like and share it. Like and share it. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you with the people, Mega. Thank you, Patriots. If you have any question, you can ask Adam right now.
One thing that's been that I'd like to talk about, since we're waiting on our guest, is why I came to talk about these things. So my father worked in the Army for his entire career, and he was so passionate about fighting communism. He worked as a linguist, and he worked in the intelligence community, and he was always passionate with us as kids about the threat of communism and Marxism coming to this country, about it creeping through academia, about it infiltrating into our city councils and our water boards and our sheriff's offices. And you can see over the course of my lifetime a slow creep. Things that would have been unimaginable 20 years ago are now right out in front of our faces. And it's something that all of us have a hard time with, but maybe we don't necessarily know where to stand up. When I talk with members of the Chinese American community, I have heard their frustration talking about they have seen some of the fallout of what happens when a communist Marxist regime takes over the hearts and minds of citizens. And I have heard from them that their warnings are falling on deaf ears, that perhaps Americans are a little bit too comfortable. And it's something that we as patriots have to deal with, that little bit of uncomfortableness, to open our mouths, to stand up, to reach out to people who have escaped communism and know that the destruction that it can bring, and to bring that up in your local grassroots community endeavors. You know, watching my father get demoralized about the spread of communism when he was a retiree is something that really inflamed my passion and even led me to come out here and do this show out in front of the White House. It may seem simple, but just by showing up and just by being accountable and being diligent, being here every week, we can show that we aren't afraid to talk about these subjects. We aren't afraid to meet the communists out in the street where they are. Don't be afraid to go to events where they're trying to implement their policies and say that there's no hope for America First policies, for conservatism. You have that power inside you. You can get out there just by getting up in front of a camera or talking to your friends and neighbors and spreading these ideas about why it's so important, why we can't allow censorship and the destruction of our First Amendment rights. Because if we allow our First Amendment rights to be taken, then go the second, and then goes our very freedom itself. And while we have the election of President Trump, you see that our enemies are emboldened. You see the Democrats out in the streets that are saying that this has become a war, that they'll stop at nothing. We as conservatives can't be reactive. We have to be proactive. And I feel strongly that we can get out and we can network and we can talk to each other about fighting the spreads of these Marxist ideologies that destroy our economy, that destroy our morals, that destroy the home, and ultimately destroy the fabric of America. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Our patriots say hi to you. Thank you for and while we are waiting, you never told your story before this live stream, right?
I don't think so.
Can you tell me a little bit? I know you wrote a book.
Sure. So I wrote a book about my time as a fugitive from the Biden administration with my wife and my brother. And it's called Capital Punishment, a J6 Fugitive Story by Adam Villarreal. And for 4.5 years, I was a fugitive from the illegitimate Biden regime's FBI. And I had to deal with being homeless. I had to deal with losing almost 50 pounds, losing my ability to walk. But it was my faith and my patriotism that kept me out of very dark places. You know, when you're homeless and you see the country falling into Marxism around you. We have our special guest coming in. I'll finish that story right after.
It's from a federal prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from Joe. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time.
Just one moment, folks.
To accept this call, press 5. To block this call and all future calls, press 7. You may begin speaking now. Hey guys.
Joe, you are live in front of the White House. Welcome, Joe Exotic.
I've been trying for 8 years to get somebody to do this in front of the White House.
Absolutely, sir. We've been talking a little bit about our story is J6, but we want to jump right in. Joe, you've said recently that you guess being innocent is not enough in America. What do you want people to understand about your conviction that they didn't get from Tiger King?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is, and it's not just me, guys. You know from January 6th how corrupt this system is, okay? And of all people, President Trump being indicted 94 times and convicted 34 times should know how bad this system is. But my issue is I don't know how many people didn't watch season 2 of Tiger King. But season 2 of Tiger King is where Jeff and James and Warren and Alan all admitted that they made this up in order to steal my zoo. And then Alan went one step further and took the producers and my lawyers to the zoo and showed them where he had a murder weapon in the woods behind the trailer he lived at, how they were going to kill me to start with to get my zoo. And I'm the one that's in prison.
So if, with this new information coming out, if you had the ability to talk to President Trump right now, what would you tell him?
You know, I would just say, President Trump, you know, I made it 55 years, sir, without as much as a speeding ticket. I spent my entire life helping grant wishes for dying sick children, helping feed the homeless. I did nothing wrong. Yes, I put 5 tigers to sleep, but it was just like my inspector told me to. And then when it comes for trial time, she couldn't be found to subpoena her. Imagine that. But please look at the evidence that we have of them under oath now, admitting to perjury and fabricating evidence. And it's all on joeexoticofficial.com on the evidence link. Give me a second chance. I've been here 8 years. I've lost my parents. I've lost my 55 years of hard work. I just want to get back out and show the world what a good person I really am, and I'm not just some TV character that they made up to be. So just give me a chance, sir, and I will damn sure make you proud.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you so much for that. My next question is, many January 6 prisoners believe that they were denied fair trials, access to evidence, or effective legal representation. What does your own experience with the prison system tell you about whether the justice system is being weaponized?
Hey, I believe that 100% because I was kidnapped by the Justice Department. Just like a lot of y'all were, I was indicted, arrested, held without bond, put in solitary confinement, so I could not find evidence, help get real lawyers. I had to use public defenders. That's why we have over 1,000 new evidence.
This call is from a federal prison.
Now is because I've had access to phones and told people where to get the evidence and everything else. Where during my trial, they kept me in solitary confinement away from people, away from the phone. And they got me because they had some people lie about me, and I couldn't prove anything different because I couldn't get to nothing.
Do you believe that there's a double standard in how justice is applied, one for insiders and another for outsiders?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a system also for the rich and the poor. You know, if I would have had some people with some money on my side to fight, if I had real lawyers, okay, I had public defenders, and now I know why people call them public pretenders. I had public defenders that for the whole 2 years during my trial and sentencing came and seen me 3 times.
Wow.
How can you take a case as big as mine and only come see your client 3 times? But you know where it proves how corrupt this system is I was only charged with 1 charge, okay? And when I got arrested, they wanted me to plead guilty. I wouldn't plead guilty. I wanted my constitutional right to a fair trial. The minute I asked for that, they superseded me and charged me with 21 more charges, just so they could get something to stick.
Do you feel like because of your celebrity status that you've become a political prisoner, that you're being persecuted because of your celebrity?
I am definitely a political prisoner, and a lot of people don't understand that either. It's for an animal rights agenda called the Big Cat Safety Act that was sponsored by the one and only Kamala Harris. My people have screenshots of her Twitter where she even bragged about it. And the Big Cat Safety Act, all it does is exempt Carol Baskin and her Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries to be the only ones in America to own tigers. And so it's a monopolized political agenda is all this is. And if President Trump, you want to put a stake in the Democrats and Kamala Harris, sign my clemency or give me a pardon and let me out of here, because she is the woman that bragged all over the internet that she co-sponsored to be able to put me in here. And
Wait, Joe. Are you telling our viewing audience here that Kamala Harris personally bragged about keeping you in prison and it was a politically motivated thing, part of it?
Go down my Twitter feed, Joe_exotic, and you should be able to find the screenshot of her Twitter where she bragged about it. Yes, absolutely.
Joe, that is breaking news for us here live. We are very interested in this, and it seems like it would be something that President Trump would be interested in as well.
Well, if I had a way to be able to search and follow money donations, I would almost bet you Carol Baskin put in quite a big hump in the Democratic Party, and Joe Biden, he's the one that signed it into law. Kamala Harris is the one that sponsored it. I can almost bet you that there's a big chunk of money that was put in there in order to put me in prison.
So, Joe, our next question, you've become kind of a global symbol of chaos, of defiance, of the American outlaw. What part of that image is real? What part of that image is myth? What do you want the people out here to know about the real Joe Exotic?
Okay, well, all of it's fake, okay? Keep in mind, they arrested me. I was in solitary confinement the 2 years while they were filming Tiger King. Joe Exotic didn't film any of that for Tiger King. Joe Exotic didn't make a dime off of that, of Tiger King. Because my husband at the time, the piece of shit, okay, signed a contract with Netflix and sold them all of my footage off of YouTube and my computers from where we made JoeExoticTV.com, which was all scripted. It was all crazy acting stuff in order to get viewers to help pay for the care of those animals. The part that they didn't show you was Joe Exotic opened his zoo for free every New Year's, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every Easter, every Memorial Day, and cooked for homeless people that had nowhere to go, put on a free Easter egg hunts for children that their parents couldn't afford to take them to have a real Easter egg hunt. We did Tigers for Tots, where we raised money and bought toys and took them around with the local bikers for kids that didn't have. They didn't show anything about the real Joe Exotic. I've granted more wishes for children, last wishes, than one person on this whole planet. And I've raised more money for Operation Smile to fix little kids' faces than anybody else. And that's what I want to do when I get out of here, is I want to get back to my charity work. That's what I miss the most. Do I miss my animals? Absolutely. But I miss my charity work the most. And if I get out of here and I have to end up going to Mexico until I can bring George back legally, I'm still going to fix little kids' faces all over the world. Doesn't matter what color they are or where they're from. Because no child should have to grow up with a deformed face to be made fun of.
Absolutely. That's wonderful work, sir.
And that's the real Joe Exotic.
Many people have asked if you are going to go back to your animals, if you were to be pardoned and released, or would you focus solely on charity work?
My charity work, and I want to do something really in like South Africa and India to conserve the animals in the wild. One of my biggest things that I did in the free world before all of this happened was I raised $70,000 by signing autographs at $5 at a time, and I hired rangers in South Africa to protect white rhinos. And one of my dreams is to be able to open up an orphanage for baby rhinos and baby elephants.
That sounds incredible, Joe. I have just a couple of questions for you more. You had talked about wanting to run and make a political run.
Federal prison.
Can you please tell us a little bit about your stance, your politics these days? What can you tell us about your thoughts on J6 and just whether or not you thought it was a peaceful protest or what you thought about the event?
You know, I think y'all had a right to do what you did. I think you got the message across to the entire world that the American citizens are fed up with what's going on up there. My politics stand, you know, I support Trump. I'm behind him 100%. I agree with the open border, even though I'm married to a Mexican national. He should have came into the country the right way. When I get out of here, I'm going to make sure that we get him back the right way. I am very against the LGBTQ community, what they're doing with the transgender in sports, the shoving it in people's faces with the parades, and it's just everything is so out of control right now. And I'll never understand how we can keep bringing people in like the 2000 Afghanistans and provide them a home and everything else when we can't take care of our own veterans that are sleeping homeless on the streets. Something in that line of our military has got to be seriously fixed, because if you give up your life or your family or your limbs to protect your country and to be able to live in America for free, that's where during my whole campaign, if you are from another country and you come into America and we give you a green card, you should at least pay $50 a month to live here, because our citizens gave their life and their limbs.
That is quite incredible, Joe.
Why are we letting millions of people come over here for free and don't have to serve? Why is the American people the ones giving their life and limbs for it? So people should have to ante up. It should be called a non-citizen tax card.
So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Exotic, even somebody whose marriage and love is bound up in deeply in the immigration issue, is pushing for law and order and doing things the right way. That is incredible to hear you say that, sir. Hats off to you.
I mean, I would pay $50 a month for my husband to live here and work and pay taxes until he became a citizen. So why couldn't anybody else?
Absolutely. So
now you take 10 or 15 million times $50 a month, and we can take care of this deficit in a hurry.
I want to give you a chance to address the American people right now. So if you could tell people, they're seeing these ideas like cultural Marxism invade their spaces, their schools, their academia, everything. So what would you tell to the average American? How can they push back? How can they make their voice heard?
We have to vote some of these people out of here. You can't be lazy, and you can't just accept the norm because you're getting by. Okay, the American dream was to be able to own your own stuff, not rent it from the government, own it, okay, and have a family and have the American dream. We have to start voting them out. Congress and the Senate and the House should not be a lifetime job. It should be, look, if our president can only serve 4 years, by God, a senator or a politician should only serve 4 years. You want to clear up the crooked judge problem? We need to amend the Constitution to where all federal judges are elected by the people so they can be kicked out, because right now they have no boss. Gentlemen, this thing beat, which means I've got 30 seconds, and I want to thank you so much for having me and giving me a voice, because the phone's going to hang up.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody out there I love them, and I just need them to be my voice to President Trump that says Joe is next. Joe should be on the next pardon list.
Thank you so much, Joe Exotic, for being with us live in front of the White House, and we're going to do what we can. Please like and follow Joe's page and let your voices be heard. Should Joe get pardoned? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us live in front of the White House with our very special guest, Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. Please join us again next week at 1600 Unscripted for the next episode. Thank you very much, Patriots.
Thank you, Patriots.
Do we have any last questions?
Discussing with each other. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Patriots. We will see you next time. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Patriots. Have a good evening.
Actually, they asked in the beginning, they asked who is